My name is Haley Prescott, and I'm 34 years old. 3 days ago, I became the main character of Relationship Twitter, which is not something you ever imagine when you're just trying to keep your life from quietly falling apart. If you'd asked me a year ago to describe my relationship, I would have said it was solid. Not fairy tale epic, not tragic, just steady in a way that felt earned. Caleb Turner and I had been together for 3 years. We met at a friend's wedding, of all places, one of those receptions with a DJ who thought playing the cha-cha slide twice in one night was a personality trait. I was at the bar, sipping flat champagne and silently begging the universe for a reason to leave. Caleb slid in next to me, loosened tie, crooked smile, and said, "If they play one more line dance, I'm faking a medical emergency." I laughed. He laughed. We bonded over lukewarm chicken and terrible music. A month later, we were dating. A year after that, we moved in together. It felt grown up. We split rent, argued about dishes, sent each other dumb memes during work. I thought this was what building a life looked like. Everything was good, until it wasn't. The shift started about 6 months ago. It didn't show up as one big fight or some obvious betrayal. It was smaller than that, pettier than that. Caleb started disappearing into his phone. He'd sit on the couch, scrolling, thumb moving like a metronome, expression somewhere between bored and entertained. Not with me, never with me anymore, just with whatever was on the screen. We stopped talking the way we used to. I'd ask about his day. He'd say fine. I'd suggest a movie night. He'd say he was tired. I'd ask if he wanted to try that new Thai place down the street. He'd shrug and say, maybe next week. Next week never came. I tried to fix it. Of course I did. That's what good girlfriends do, right? I planned date nights, booked a dinner at his favorite steak place, turned my phone face down to prove I was present, available, invested. I suggested couples therapy, my voice shaking like I was already apologizing for wanting more. He'd say he appreciated the effort. He'd promised to try harder. For a day or two, he'd be a little more attentive, a little less distant. Then the cold front would roll back in, and I'd be right where I started, sitting next to a man who treated me like background noise. Every time I tried to talk about how I felt, the script was the same. "You're overthinking," he'd say, not looking away from his phone. "Haley, you're being kind of needy. Not everything has to be a big conversation." I started to believe him. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I was making drama where there wasn't any. Maybe steady relationships just felt like this, like trying to hug a shadow. Last Tuesday, I got home from work around 7 p.m. The sky outside was still bright, but our apartment felt dim, like someone had turned the saturation down on my life. Caleb was on the couch, slouched in his usual spot, phone in hand. The TV was on mute, some sitcom flickering silently in the background. He barely glanced up when I came in. "Hey," I said, dropping my bag by the door. He gave me that half-wave people do when they're acknowledging your existence without actually engaging with it. "Hey, how was your day?" I asked, kicking off my shoes. "Fine." I waited, hoping he'd throw me a detail. A client story, a coworker who annoyed him, anything. Nothing. "Do you want to grab dinner somewhere?" I tried. I didn't take anything out to cook. "Already ate," he said, eyes still glued to his screen. "Oh." The word tasted small. "Okay, want to watch something together later?" "I'm in the middle of something." His thumb moved, rapid fire. He smirked at something, hit send, went back to scrolling. The glow from his phone lit his face more than the TV did. I stood there for a second too long, the silence stretching between us like an invisible rubber band. If I pushed, it would snap. If I didn't, I'd keep slowly suffocating. "Right," I said finally. "I'm just going to change." Our bedroom felt cooler than the rest of the apartment. I walked to my side of the bed, automatically reaching for my nightstand drawer where I kept my charger and the book I pretended I still had energy to read. The drawer was cracked open. Not wide, just enough that it caught the light. My stomach tightened. I always closed it completely because it stuck if you didn't push it all the way. It was one of those quirky apartment things you just knew. My hand hovered before I pulled it open. Inside, my stuff looked normal. Charger, hair ties, a few old receipts, the paperback with the bent cover. But there was something new. A folded piece of notebook paper. The spiral edges ripped messily along the side. It wasn't mine. I picked it up. My heart was already pounding, which annoyed me. I didn't even know what it was yet, and my body was reacting like it knew something my brain hadn't caught up to. The date at the top hit me first. 5 days ago, I swallowed and started to read. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to write it out first. I think we need to break up. Things haven't been working for a while, and I don't see them getting better. You're a good person, but I don't think we're right for each other anymore. I've been feeling trapped. It stopped mid-sentence. No period. Just that word, hanging there like someone had cut the cord. Trapped. My hands started to shake. For a second, the room tilted. I had the sharp, stupid thought that I should sit down before my knees decided for me. He'd written a breakup letter, hidden it in my nightstand, dated it 5 days ago. For nearly a week, he'd been drafting his exit strategy while eating dinner at our table, sleeping in our bed, scrolling on our couch, telling me I was overthinking when I said something felt wrong. I read the letter again, slower this time, my anger catching up to my shock. The word trapped burned, because I'd felt trapped too, but in a different way. Trapped in a conversation he refused to have. I walked back out to the living room, the paper in my hand. Caleb was still on his phone, thumb moving like a metronome, utterly at peace. "Can I ask you something?" I said. He didn't look up. "Are we okay?" "We're fine," he said, automatic. "Why?" "You've seemed off lately." He sighed, finally glancing at me with irritation more than concern. "Haley, I'm fine. You worry too much. Not everything needs to be a big thing." I looked at him for a long moment, then turned without answering and went back to the bedroom. I put the letter on the bed and grabbed my phone. I took a photo. Clear shot, all of the text visible, the torn spiral edges, the date at the top. His handwriting. No way to fake it. No way to claim it was out of context. Then I opened Twitter. Caleb's latest tweet was from 10 minutes ago. "Fellas, if she can't communicate, let her go. You can't fix a woman who won't even try to meet you halfway." It already had a decent number of likes. Replies from his friends hyping him up, talking about emotional maturity and kings who set boundaries. I stared at the words until they blurred, then hit quote tweet. "You're right." I typed it with my thumb, pulse throbbing in my ears. Then I hit send. Underneath that quote tweet, I posted the photo of his letter as a reply to myself. Tagged him. My fingers moved on instinct, anger sharpening into something precise. "Found this in my drawer. Since you're struggling to finish it, let me help. It's over. You've been too cowardly to tell me to my face, so you wrote it down and hid it instead. Thanks for wasting 3 years. There, finished it for you." My thumb hovered over tweet for exactly 1 heartbeat. Then I tapped. I put my phone face down on the bed. For a moment, there was silence. No dramatic thunder, no earthquake, just the distant murmur of the muted TV in the other room and the sound of my own breathing. Then my phone buzzed. Once, twice. A vibration storm. Footsteps pounded down the hall. "What the hell, Haley?" Caleb burst into the doorway, phone in his hand, face flushed. "Did you seriously just post that?" "Post what?" My voice came out calmer than I felt. "You know what. The letter. You went through my stuff." "Your stuff?" I tilted my head. "It was in my drawer, Caleb. You hid a breakup letter in my nightstand." "That was private," he snapped. "I was working through my feelings. I wasn't even sure I was going to actually break up with you." "Oh," I nodded slowly. "So you were just keeping your options open. How considerate." His jaw clenched. "You're such a—" "Careful," I cut in quietly. "I can't believe you'd humiliate me like that," he said. "Online? Really? That's so immature." "Immature as writing a breakup letter, hiding it in my furniture for 5 days, and then going on Twitter to complain about how I don't communicate," I said. I just held up a mirror. He looked down at his phone, scrolling, eyes widening. "It already has 300 likes. People are commenting. This is humiliating." "Now you know how I felt reading that letter," I said. He stared at me, breathing hard. "I'm leaving." "That tracks," I said. "You were planning to anyway." He disappeared into the closet, grabbing a bag, yanking clothes from hangers. I sat on the edge of the bed, my phone buzzing nonstop beside me, notifications piling up like evidence. Somewhere between the 3rd vibration and the 30th, it hit me. I had just turned our breakup into a public spectacle, and the internet was already watching. My phone buzzed so hard it slid across the comforter like it was trying to escape. Mentions, retweets, quote tweets, DMs, a notification avalanche. I hadn't even touched the screen yet. It didn't matter. The internet had already picked up the scent of blood. When I finally flipped my phone over, the first thing I saw was my own quote tweet. "You're right," sitting above the photo of Caleb's half-written breakup letter. Underneath it, thousands of tiny avatars were flooding in like ants finding a spilled soda. Someone had already commented, "Oh, she did not come to play." Another person replied, "Bro wrote a breakup letter like it was homework and got exposed." A different one, Men who say women can't communicate are always the ones hiding essays. I stared at the screen, shocked at how fast people were reacting. My heart felt like it was beating in my throat. Too loud, too fast. This was happening, for real. On a scale I had absolutely not thought through. A tweet popped up. Caleb Turner is trending. Not my name. His. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Caleb stomped around the bedroom, stuffing clothes into a duffel bag, muttering curses under his breath. You have no idea what you've started, he snapped. People from work follow me. That's unlucky, I said without looking up. Maybe next time don't tweet about communication while hiding a breakup letter. You're enjoying this. He glared at me like he was daring me to deny it. I didn't. He pointed at me. This is harassment. Caleb, that's literally your handwriting. That's not the point. It's the entire point, I said quietly. He stormed out of the room. A minute later, the front door slammed so hard the sound cracked down the hallway like a gunshot. Silence swallowed the apartment. Then the buzzing started again. I sat on the bed, staring at the wall while my phone vibrated nonstop, each notification blending into the next like a swarm of angry bees. I didn't know what to do. Block the notifications? Turn the phone off? Snap it in half? Instead, I opened Twitter again. My tweet had 8,000 likes. 8,000. I felt nauseous, or high, or both. Another vibration. A text from my best friend Marcus. Marcus, Haley, what did you do? Me, something impulsive. Marcus, no SHT, I'm coming over. I dropped the phone onto the bed and covered my face with my hands. My life 3 minutes ago? Quiet, lonely, suffocating. My life now? Digitally exploding. Marcus arrived 20 minutes later with pizza, beer, and the expression of someone arriving at the scene of a car crash he's morbidly curious about. Let me see it, he said, kicking off his shoes and plopping onto the couch. I handed him my phone. He scrolled, his eyebrows shot up. He wrote a breakup letter? Yes. And hid it in your drawer? Yes. And then tweeted that nonsense about communication? Yes. Marcus put the phone down and took a long, dramatic breath. Okay, yeah, no, justice was served. I let out a laugh that sounded too loud, too sharp, more like a release valve than humor. He opened the pizza box. Here, eat something before you pass out. You look like someone who accidentally committed arson. Marcus! Haley, I say this with love. This is iconic. Petty, absolutely, but iconic. I leaned my head back against the couch and stared at the ceiling. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I know, he said, but people relate to mess. And this is premium grade mess. My phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Answer them, Marcus said. I don't want to. Then I'll read them. No, I grabbed the phone. Too late, notifications were already sliding across the top of the screen. A poll. Was Haley wrong to post the letter? 67% voted no. A meme. Half the screen Caleb's tweet. The other half, Haley's letter photo with a red stamp over it reading, Communication achieved. A parody account. Breaking. Man shocked to learn actions have consequences. I dropped my forehead into my hands. I'm going to combust, I muttered. Before Marcus could answer, my phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Marcus said. I answered it. Hello? A bright, overly practiced voice chirped on the other end. Hi, is this Haley Prescott, the woman who posted the breakup letter? I closed my eyes. Who's asking? I'm a producer for a podcast called Red Flags and Deal Breakers. We'd love to have you on. No. We offer compensation. No. Can I send an email? No, I hung up. Marcus grinned. You're famous. I don't want to be famous. Too late. At noon the next day, my phone had 847 unread notifications. BuzzFeed had posted an article. An Instagram relationship advice page had done a carousel slide. Why hiding a breakup letter is a red flag. TikTok duets. YouTube commentary. Someone even made a dramatic reading of the breakup letter set to violin music. And then, Caleb's friends began attacking. Emma. Imagine exposing private documents online. Yikes. Toxic femininity at its finest. Jenna. Women will really do anything except go to therapy. Marcus snorted. These people don't even like him. They just love drama. I didn't respond to his friends. I didn't need to. The comments were doing it for me. But then my phone buzzed with a new notification. A DM. The preview showed the name. Ashley Morales. I frowned. I didn't recognize the name. I opened it. Hey, Haley. You don't know me, but I dated Caleb 2 years ago. He did the exact same thing to me. Wrote a secret breakup letter. Hid it. Acted normal. Then broke up out of nowhere. Just wanted you to know you're not crazy. This is a pattern with him. My stomach dropped. I read it 3 more times, jaw tightening each time. Marcus leaned over. What now? I turned my phone toward him. He whistled low. Well, there's your closure. A pattern, I whispered. I wasn't crazy. No, he said. You were dating someone who doesn't know how to be honest unless it's written on loose-leaf paper. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for months. The internet was still buzzing, the notifications still climbing, but something inside me had gone still, quiet, different. For the first time in half a year, I didn't feel like I was drowning. I felt like I was waking up. By Thursday morning, my phone felt like a live grenade. Every time it buzzed, my stomach flinched. Every time I opened Twitter, the numbers had doubled. Every time I refreshed the feed, there was a new thread, a new meme, a new analysis of my relationship with a man half the internet now believed they intimately understood. I didn't recognize my own life anymore. It had stretched, flattened, and turned into content. And then it escalated. A notification banner slid across my screen. BuzzFeed. Woman exposes boyfriend's secret breakup letter after he tweets about communication. My face wasn't in the article, thank God, but the letter was. Caleb's tweet was. My caption was. My name was being used in the comments like I was a public figure. So when we see... I'd wanted honesty. I hadn't wanted this. A second later, another ping. The Shade Room has tagged you in a post. I tossed my phone onto the couch like it was radioactive. Marcus, sitting beside me, grabbed it without hesitation. Oh, you're on the Shade Room. Big leagues. Please don't read it. It's not bad, he said, scrolling. Actually, the comments are tearing Caleb apart. I slumped into the cushions. I don't want anyone torn apart. Marcus gave me a look. Do you want me to be honest? Yes? He humiliated you for months, lied to you, gaslit you, hid a breakup letter, and then projected onto Twitter like he was some wounded philosopher. If the internet wants to roast him, let them. I didn't mean for the world to see this, I whispered. You meant for him to see it. The world just overheard. He wasn't wrong. Around 3 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text that made me sit up straight. Caleb, you need to delete that tweet. It's ruining my life. I stared at the message, then typed back slowly. Me. You needed to communicate. You didn't. He answered immediately. Caleb. People from work saw it. My boss saw it. I'm getting harassed. Me. I didn't lie. I posted your own handwriting. Caleb. Stop being cruel. Me. Cruel is telling someone they're too needy while drafting your exit strategy in secret. There was a long pause. Then, Caleb, you're enjoying this. I didn't sugarcoat it. Me. A little? Yes. Because I'd spent 6 months feeling insane. Because he'd made me question my instincts every time I tried to talk about what was wrong. Because he'd acted like I was the problem, not the silence he kept burying me under. He stopped responding. Good. I put my phone down and breathed. Not deeply, not calmly, but at least I was breathing. Friday morning, I woke up to a wall of text messages from an unknown number. I scanned the first one. Unknown. I don't know what happened between you and Caleb, but posting that letter was uncalled for. A second one followed. Unknown. He's devastated. This could have been handled privately. Then the third. Unknown. Adults communicate, Haley. They don't humiliate. I blinked, then looked at the contact name. Caleb's mom. I clicked call. She answered on the first ring, her voice already sharp. Haley, I am disappointed in you. I inhaled slowly, counting to 3. With all due respect, I said, voice steady, your son made our private issues public when he tweeted about me first. That's different. He was expressing himself. He was posturing for compliments, I cut in, while hiding a breakup letter in my drawer. Silence. And he misled you, I continued. He didn't tell you that part, did he? More silence, heavier this time. If he's embarrassed, ma'am, that's because of his own choices, not my tweet. She exhaled sharply. You two should have handled this in private. He had 6 months to handle things privately, I said. He chose Twitter. And then I ended the call. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline. It was anger. It was release. For the first time, I wasn't letting someone rewrite my story. Caleb texted an hour later. Caleb, I want to come get my stuff. Tomorrow. Noon. Emma's coming with me. How poetic. Emma, the friend who'd spent all week dragging me online like it was a sport. Me. Fine. He didn't reply. Saturday at noon, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to see Caleb, Emma, and another friend I didn't recognize, one who immediately crossed her arms like she was bracing for battle. I stepped aside, wordlessly. Caleb went straight to the bedroom to pack, not even looking at me. Emma stayed planted in the living room like a security guard, assessing a threat. The other girl whispered something to her. Emma nodded, jaw tight. Oh, here we go, Marcus murmured beside me, arms folded. He'd insisted on staying. I didn't argue. Emma spoke first. You know you're trending for being toxic, right? Marcus snorted. You all must practice these lines in the mirror. I lifted a hand to stop him. Calm, collected. Trending for being toxic? Emma gave me the kind of condescending smile adults reserve for toddlers. You humiliated him over a letter he never even gave you. It was in my drawer, I said. Dated 5 days before I found it. That was private. I raised an eyebrow. As private as his tweet about women who can't communicate? Emma changed tactics. He was trying to process his feelings. By writing a breakup letter like it's homework? No, she said sharply. By taking space. You kept pushing him. Pushing him? I repeated quietly. Emma, I spent months asking him what was wrong. He called me needy, said I was overthinking. He wasn't processing, he was avoiding. She opened her mouth, closed it, then shifted her glare to Marcus because she couldn't win this one. Caleb finally emerged from the bedroom with 2 suitcases and 3 boxes stacked precariously. That's everything, he muttered. Great, I said softly. He hesitated. Can you delete the tweet now? No. Why not? Because it's the truth, I said. And I'm not going to help you rewrite history just because the internet didn't take your side. His nostrils flared. You're unbelievable. I nodded. So I've been told. Emma made a disgusted sound. The 3 of them walked out, the door closing behind them with a final, anticlimactic click. Silence filled the apartment. Then Marcus exhaled loudly. Well, that was fun. I walked to the couch, picked up my phone, and opened Twitter. A new TikTok had gone viral. Someone had stitched Caleb's original tweet. If she can't communicate, let her go. Then a record scratch, and my quote tweet appeared on screen. You're right. Over 1 million views. I didn't laugh this time. I just watched it, expression neutral, like I was watching a documentary about someone else's life. In a way, I was. A week passed. The storm began to fade. New scandals, new drama, new stories replaced mine on the timeline. My mentions slowed. Notifications became manageable. People stopped tagging me in memes every 5 minutes. But the internet has a long tail. Random strangers still debated the breakup letter girl in comment sections. A subreddit formed. A podcast covered it. A YouTuber made a 20-minute analysis video about emotional avoidance in modern dating. And then, unexpectedly, I got a DM from Jenna, one of Caleb's friends, one who'd trashed me earlier. Jenna, look, I don't agree with everything you did, but I want to apologize for some of the things I said. Caleb told us you were the problem, but after everything that came out, I don't think he told the full truth. I stared at the message, surprised. Then another line appeared. Jenna, also, he's dating someone new. Met her on Hinge 2 weeks ago. My stomach twisted. 2 weeks ago. I typed carefully. Me. 2 weeks ago we were still together. Jenna replied almost instantly. Jenna, yeah, that's what I thought. I figured you should know. I put the phone down. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't break anything. I just sat in the quiet. The truth hit like a soft, heavy wave. Not painful, just inevitable. He'd already been moving on. Already detaching, already writing his half-finished goodbye in my drawer while matching with someone new. Suddenly, the tweet didn't feel like revenge anymore. It felt like closure. Later that night, without ceremony, without fanfare, without telling Marcus, I deleted it. Not because Caleb asked. Not because his friends harassed me. Not because the internet moved on. But because I finally had everything I needed. The truth and freedom. 2 months later, my apartment felt different. Not new, not transformed, just mine. For the first few weeks after Caleb left, everything reminded me of him. The spot on the couch he always claimed, the dent in the pillow where his head used to rest, the silence he used to fill with scrolling and sighing. But grief does strange housekeeping. Little by little, the reminders faded. I moved the couch, bought new sheets, reorganized the kitchen cabinets the way I always wanted them. Threw away the mugs he kept saying he'd replace but never did. I didn't do it angrily. I didn't do it dramatically. I did it like someone brushing dust off a shelf. Practical, necessary, simple. And then, on a random Tuesday morning, I adopted a dog. A golden retriever with floppy ears, a goofy run, and a habit of walking directly into walls. His name is Duke. Duke, unlike Caleb, communicates clearly. When he wants attention, he drops toys into my lap. When he's hungry, he stares at the pantry like it owes him money. When he's sleepy, he plops down on my feet with full commitment. No mixed signals. No half-written letters, no passive-aggressive tweets. Just presence. The kind I'd been begging for in my relationship without realizing it. My phone buzzes less now. The viral moment has drifted into the digital archives. Still there if someone goes looking, but no longer the front-page drama of the day. Every once in a while, though, someone recognizes me. I'll be grabbing a latte, and a stranger will tilt their head and ask, "Sorry, are you the breakup letter girl?" The first time it happened, I panicked and almost denied it. But then the stranger said, "That was legendary. I hope you're doing okay." And for the first time since the internet exploded around me, I smiled without hesitation. "Yeah," I said, "I'm doing okay." Caleb reached out once, not directly, through Marcus, who forwarded the message with an eye roll emoji. "Caleb, hey man, can you tell Haley I'm sorry for everything? I've been doing a lot of reflecting." Reflecting. The word felt as flimsy as the breakup letter, soft, vague, avoidant. I told Marcus to delete the message. Not because I was angry, but because it didn't matter anymore. You can't rebuild a bridge that was never structurally sound to begin with. I heard through the grapevine that Caleb's new relationship ended after a month. Apparently, the same patterns showed up. Silence, withdrawal, vague complaints about feeling trapped. The girl dumped him first, leaving him blindsided. Marcus said it with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Karma's punctual these days. But the truth? I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt distance, like someone describing a character from a book I once read but didn't love enough to finish. Caleb's life was no longer something I had to decipher or navigate. His patterns weren't puzzles I had to solve. That alone felt like a kind of freedom I hadn't known I needed. One night, after taking Duke for an evening walk, I noticed the corner of my nightstand drawer sticking out, the same way it had the night everything changed. I opened it slowly. The letter was still there. I hadn't thrown it away, but I hadn't reread it either. For weeks, I wasn't sure why I kept it. A trophy? A reminder? A wound? But standing there in the quiet, Duke dozing at my feet, I finally understood. It wasn't about him. It was about me. It was proof. Proof that I hadn't imagined the distance. Proof that I hadn't fabricated the tension. Proof that my instincts had been right all along, even when he'd made me feel unreasonable for having them. I folded the paper gently, slid it back into the drawer, and closed it completely until the latch clicked. A soft final sound. Not of hanging on, but of letting go. Life is different now. Not perfect, not magically healed, just honest. Some nights I still wonder what would have happened if I hadn't posted the tweet. Would we have talked? Would he have stayed? Would I still be shrinking myself to fit into a man's silence? Maybe, probably. But I've learned something that I wish I'd known sooner. You can't rescue someone who uses silence as a weapon. You can't fix someone who won't speak their truth. And you can't build a life with someone who writes their goodbyes in secret. People show you who they are. In their words. In their patterns. In the spaces they refuse to fill. When they do, believe them. And choose yourself. Always choose yourself.